there's a lot of talk in the United States. It kind of comes and goes, but there's a lot of politicians because it's easy to look at the economy, and when the world shuts down, it's easy to see the immediate damage and impact of shutting the whole economy down. I mean, just for example, today another 6.6 million people uh, claimed unemployment for a total. I think there's like 10% now. The official number is it's probably much higher than that of unemployment in the United States. So it's easy to look at that and say, as Trump and his some of his associates say, is we can't let the cure be worse than the disease. Which is I've heard that phrase used around when it
Yeah.
comes to chemotherapy and stuff like that. So they're kind of comparing it to like some kind of barbaric cure. What is what does it look like if we just say, you know what, it's got a 2% mortality rate. Let's just continue living. Let it do its thing. We've lived with the flu. This isn't much worse than the flu. Let's just like it's just not worth shutting down the
Let it
world.
go or
Just
run
let it do
wild.
its thing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what does that look like? How bad is that?
Yeah. Yeah, and this argument, by the way, first of all, oh, it's you either destroy the economy or just kill a lot of people. I don't think it's like an either or black and white thing, and I'll explain why. So first of all, if you let it just do its course and let nature have its way with us without doing any containment, mitigation, or lockdowns or whatsoever, it's not just the deaths. By the way, it's 2% deaths if you are treated and keep it contained. But the death, this mortality, this case mortality ratio, it's not a set amount. Basically what happens is that um, if you don't treat anyone with ventilators, right? If a country has no ventilators, like Iran, you're gonna have really, really high mortality. Or if you run out of ventilators, that you're over capacity, you're out of oxygen tanks, which by the way, a lot of these hospitals are also running low on oxygen tanks for all these
Mm.
patients. Then those people will die. And so, but if you keep it in check and you have be able to treat enough people, then it's lower. So, and what happened is like, Italy is approaching like 9-10% mortality, and same
Wow.
in like France. And the reason is they're just completely swamped. This is the flatten the curve thing. They're completely over health hospital capacity, and any excess is, well, we're out of ventilators, you die. And even ventilators, by the way, is not enough.
So it is quite an insidious infection.
It
If you
is,
had to,
and
if you had to
so
guess before modern science, if this kind of virus swept through, let's say 300 years ago, what kind of mortality rate would we be looking at?
we'll probably have like, you know 15, 20%.
Wow. So that is
Well, because look, a lot of people have shortness of breath, right? And right now, a lot of the shortness of breath can be ameliorated by oxygen. Um, there's oxygen like in a mask, and there's oxygen like up your nose, right? Up your nose, down directly. Um, and then there's intubation, and then we have ECMO machines, which is extracorporeal, which means outside of your body, membrane oxygenation. It's like kidney dialysis, but instead of dialysis, it's to give you oxygen in your blood. So instead of cleaning your blood, it's to give your oxygen blood outside into a machine and then puts it back inside you.
mm,
That's pretty
fascinating.
insane
Yeah, that
treatment.
sounds pretty high
Yeah,
tech.
and most hospitals only have like a few, if at all. Rural hospitals don't have any, and they're really expensive and really labor intensive to maintain for someone to use it. So again, we have all this modern medicine. Um, Sometimes we can treat the symptoms, but we can at least prolong people's lives. And yeah, long time ago, if it's just we would just like destroy a lot. This is what kind of the bubonic plague was, the Black Death plague.
Wow. So you think you put this on the same level of
Not
kind of
on the
Black Plague?
exact same level, not on the same level. But what I'm saying is,
Unchecked.
remember the Spanish flu, which is not really Spanish. It just they just Spain did the best testing and they found it. The flu influenza of 1918, the one that ravaged the world during the middle of World War One, it killed like millions and millions and millions of people. I think up to like double-digit millions in the teens.
Wow.
Yeah, but in the middle of World War One,
There's
it
not
was
much
kind
you
of
could
like
do
it
for
was like a
people
lost
then.
signal.
Yeah.
But this could easily be like that. And again, also it maims a lot of people. Like they're scarred, and these people who are on ventilators, some of them for like 4 weeks in China and here in the States as well, like they are like disabled for a long time. It takes a lot of time for them to recover. And so I want you to think about this. It will kill a lot of people, not just 2%, but above 5%, maybe 10% if you just let it just blow through a population. It'll disable and maim a lot of people. Like, they'll be so weak that they won't be able to go to work, right? And again, it's not just old people. Like in the CDC report just last week, compared to someone with no risk factors, someone with diabetes has 17-fold higher odds of being admitted to the ICU. A diabetic person a diabetic person who gets infected versus a non-diabetic person, like healthy, 17 higher fold chance of being admitted to the ICU. That's insane. That's larger than smoking causes lung cancer. That's more than obesity causes diabetes. That's odds ratio of 17, relative risk of 17 is just off the charts.
Very dangerous for people
and so
with diabetes.
This is also the problem. Yeah. Like in the South right now, the South is known for the stroke belt, a lot of diabetes. Their mortality is much higher, even in young people, than compared to like the young adult mortality in like other New England states or Colorado. Young adult mortality in the South is really high, and it's because that there's so many other comorbidities. COPD, asthma, smoking, diabetes, high blood pressure is also a major killer of COVID patients. Heart disease. If you add them up, between anyone who has either asthma, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, kidney damage, liver disease, any sort of emphysema or any of these diseases, and now who's left? Who doesn't have it? In the U.S., especially in the Deep South, that's not many people left. Almost everyone in the Deep South, I'm not saying everyone, but a large majority, I would say more than 50%, maybe even 2/3, have one of these risk factors that will put them in severe, debilitating state in the ICU at best. And so now, to answer your question, well, what will happen? A lot of people will die. A lot of people will also completely overswarm the hospitals and be on ventilators for like weeks and weeks. Because actually, in certain ways, someone who enters a hospital and dies immediately, or someone who never enters the hospital and dies at home, costs almost no money, right? But someone who's in the ICU, hospitalized in a bed for like weeks and weeks and weeks, you know hospital bills.
Yeah.
And lots of the hospital bills, and then the hospital beds. And then if you have a heart attack, or if you had a stroke, and you need to go to the ER, and you need to get emergency surgery, bypass surgery, or some other major procedure to save your life, but the ER is full, guess what? You're going to die too, even though you don't have COVID, right? If you have a diabetic blood sugar emergency, asthma, allergy emergency, any sort of opioid overdose, you're going to die too, because the ER and the hospital beds are full. And this is the problem. It will literally, directly kill because of the virus and your risk factors that puts you a high chance of dying or being debilitated, but also kill people who don't even have the virus at all, but they'll die of cancer, heart attacks, strokes, drug overdoses.
It sounds like such a terrifying hellscape that once it starts ravaging, then people are going to be so terrified and scared to go outside, the economy is going to be shutting down even worse.
Exactly. So my answer is, it's not you're choosing between saving lives and saving the economy. Saving lives will also save the economy, because
there's only
at least
one way
you're keeping
out.
them home and keeping them relatively healthy at home until this thing is over, right? Because you're basically, there's a hurricane outside. You either throw everyone in the hurricane and
Right.
let half of them get, killed by a flying, branch,
Mhm.
or you keep everyone inside until the storm is over,
Right.
and then they can go back to work and
So
be
this
productive.
premise
society.
that we hear in your opinion not a true not an accurate premise at all. It's
It's
one. There's
way
only
off.
one way out, really.